In this video, I want to talk about the functions of each of the brain lobes, which I must preface by saying it's a tough topic to tackle because the brain is not fully understood. Certainly, we have a better grasp of what the brain is capable of doing than we did 10, 15, 100 years ago. And a lot of our understanding of the functioning of the brain has to do with brain injuries. What we see in this slide right here is a classic case of a gentleman known as Phineas Gage, who was a railroad worker who was involved in an accident that resulted in a steel rod puncturing his skull directly through his frontal lobe. And subsequent to that, observation of his social and emotional states were altered, and functioning of the frontal lobe, at least in this case, were deciphered based on traumatic injuries like this. One thing I do want to say about Phineas Gage, the clinical assessments of him prior to the injury are scant. That is to say, there is not much scientific reports, doctor or medical reports on his human state prior to the injury, and there's a wide breadth of assessments and viewpoints of how that injury actually affected him. Nonetheless, we do know a lot about the functions of the different lobes from injuries or pathologies to the brain. So let's take a look at the brain. Here's the brain. The frontal lobe is involved with speech, cognition, reasoning, decision-making, mood, social judgment. So social judgment is something that was discussed with Phineas Gage because his personality and decisions theoretically were impacted by his injury. Whether or not that's really the case is up for debate. In addition to the frontal lobe, in addition to those functions, we also have the primary motor cortex and the primary association cortex, which we discussed in the previous video. If we look at the parietal lobe, gustation or taste is located in the parietal lobe, as is a primary somatosensory cortex. Spatial perception, numerical awareness, and vision and language processing. Occipital lobe is visual awareness and processing as well. Temporal lobe is involved with auditory and olfaction awareness, memory, language comprehension. The insula, which we cannot see in this picture right here, is involved with taste, gustation, pain, visceral sensation, emotion, and empathy.